What is going on, guys? Today we have a very exciting video for you guys, and we are going to be talking about this crazy rally that we have going on with SoFi Technologies. So SoFi Technologies, as I've talked about on my channel previously, I am long SoFi. I personally do own shares of SoFi. So take that into consideration when I'm talking about this, but the market seems to agree with me today that it is a great time to be long SoFi shares. So we are going to get into why SoFi has moved up so much today alone. We're going to talk about basically the earnings and what was announced during that and why that is so important for a stock, especially a stock like SoFi that has a technology aspect to it, growth technology, but also banking industry and the financial sector. So overall, I hope you enjoy the video. If you do, make sure you drop a like down below. And if you want to see more videos like this one, make sure you hit that sub button. Before we jump into all of that, let's just take a minute and look at SoFi's chart. So I have gone over their chart a few times before in videos, but I want to go over it again and the trends that we have seen in SoFi in the past. So what we have seen over the last day is, SoFi has been sitting around $6 to $6.50 for quite a while. And finally, they had their earnings come out and basically it just sent the stock skyrocketing. But what is very interesting is when you look at the past. So when we start going back, SoFi has had a very tough year. So in the last year, they are down almost 50%. But when we look at their 5-year chart, we have a very interesting pattern in here that I've pointed out before. So SoFi Technologies, they IPO'd back in 2020. They spiked up to around $25. And then they basically kind of drifted back down to around the $15 to $17 range, and then spiked back up to around $23, $24. And then again, drifted back down to this $15, $14 mark, and then spiked back up to around $23. And then basically we had this bad news and the stock basically just fell through the floor. So it has had this repeated pattern. What will be very interesting is over the next 6 months, if we see the economy start to turn around, will we start breaking this previous support that we've had in there around $14, $15 that we've seen consistently? If we start breaking that, then the very next spot that we would expect SoFi to kind of go up to is around the $22, $23 range. And if we break that, then we will be forming basically new highs for SoFi Technologies. So that's an important factor to keep in mind going forward. Some of these supports and resistances that we've seen previously with SoFi Technology. Let's go ahead and jump into SoFi's earnings. So SoFi, in terms of earnings, they didn't have anything overly spectacular. The biggest thing is their year-over-year numbers, which we'll get into a little bit more in depth. But in terms of Google for some reason sometimes has different EPS. The consensus that I've seen across a lot of different reports is actually an expected earnings of basically minus 13 cents and a reported of around minus 12 cents. So basically a slight beat in terms of earnings, but here they have a -8, almost 9% surprise, just because, again, these numbers are slightly different than some of the other reports that I've seen. Revenue, we had a surprise, and this is a little bit more in tune with what I've seen in some of the reports. So they reported $356.09 million, and then were expected to report $344.47 million. So as I mentioned, they're basically EPS and revenue. There was nothing really surprising or crazy about those numbers. They were kind of close to what was expected. But when you really start looking at the company and looking at their year-over-year numbers, that's where things get very interesting. So here we have, first up, SoFi net revenue surged 57% year over year to $363 million in the second quarter. So that is absolutely massive, right? That's a huge move. So almost a 60% surge in revenue. And then along with that, the fintech company gained more than 450,000 members during the quarter, bringing its total membership to 4.3 million. So that is, again, absolutely massive. And that is up 69% compared to the second quarter of 2021. So again, basically showing that they can continue to grow their membership year over year, which is absolutely massive because SoFi is not only, a banking financial sector company, but it is also a technology sector company. And basically a lot of tech companies, whether it's, something like Twitter, Netflix, anything like that, you really want to see membership growth. And that is a huge metric for SoFi. What's also important for a lot of these growth companies is making sure that they're retaining their members and that the members are using more and more of their products. And that is not a problem with SoFi Technologies. So SoFi, its total products at quarter end were up 79% to 6.6 million. So basically more people are coming into the atmosphere and sticking around and using a wide range of their products, whether it's checking accounts, savings accounts, anything like that. And along those same lines, SoFi has had, basically they've increased their online checking and savings account to a yield of 1.8%, which again is one of the industry leaders. That's a huge number, especially, as interest rates go up, that should creep up as well. But that's one way that a lot of these companies, whether it's SoFi or even we have seen it in the past with Ally Bank, that a lot of them will have higher yield savings accounts, basically to get people in the door and hold on to people. So SoFi also with that saw its deposits leap 135% to $2.7 billion. So more people are depositing their money into SoFi accounts, which is basically what you want with a bank, right? The more money you have, the more money you are able to loan out and basically bring in more profit. So overall, huge positive as well right there. And a huge thing that's coming about is, right, a lot of people are focused on a recession coming forward and happening over the next 3 to 6 months. And as those fears kind of grow, what people focus on a lot is companies being able to get to profitability. And these next couple things that we have up here for SoFi basically prove that, they are on the track to get there. So they narrowed their losses to $95.8 million from $165.3 million a year ago for this period. So that is absolutely huge, basically showing that they almost cut in half, their net losses. And then on top of that, their adjusted earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, basically their EBITDA increased 81% to 20.3 million. So that is all absolutely huge. Basically, they're showing that they have the ability, that they're getting closer and closer to profitability. And then up here, on top of all of this great news, guidance for the full year was boosted. So management is now projecting that their adjusted EBITDA of, basically they're projecting an adjusted EBITDA of 104 million to 109 million in 2022, up from their previous estimates of 100 million to 105 million dollars. So again, absolutely huge boost to the stock when management is going to stand behind the company and say that we are expecting better things going forward, especially in a year where everything has been crazy and people have been adjusting down. To see a company like SoFi starting to, adjusting up their guidance, that is absolutely huge, especially for investors that are looking to get into a stock with a lot of growth potential ahead of it, like SoFi. The last thing that I wanted to talk about in this video is kind of this headline right here. So SoFi Technologies price target raised to $8.50 at Credit Suisse Group. So this is absolutely huge. And it's not huge, basically, this headline, what it's saying, because really an 850 target, that's where the stock is basically at right now. So there's nothing crazy about that. But what it means going forward, right? Because a lot of these companies are going to start looking at SoFi. They're going to see these earnings that came out, everything that's said about the stock, everything that the management had to say, everything like that. And they are going to be looking at it and they're going to think, hey, are we rating this stock too low? Do we need to be raising our price targets? And as companies, especially, if Goldman Sachs or other companies come out and say, hey, we think the price of this stock is going to be at X, Y, or Z in a year, and they start raising those targets up, more and more buyers are going to come into the market and basically start flooding stocks like SoFi. And that's on top of the fact that they are getting and inching closer and closer to profitability. So if they reach profitability over the next year or so, that will be another huge boost. So SoFi could easily, take off over the next year if some of these things come about, whether it's people increasing their price targets or them just hitting profitability and, the stock just going crazy from there. So what we have finally up here is the Wall Street Journal. So they post some price targets as well. And I always like checking it because they have a few analysts. So they have 8 saying that SoFi is a buy. They have 5 saying it's a hold. I doubt these numbers are updated after earnings, but it's always still interesting to look at, especially looking at it now and then looking at it a few months from now to see how things change, in response to these earnings. So here we have a high price target of $11, which in my opinion is very, very low, easily should be achievable by SoFi over the next year. We have a median of $8, a low of $7 for an average of $8.42. So in my opinion, again, we only need to go up to less than 20 cents to hit that median. That they'll blow that out of the water over the next year, in my opinion. But obviously, this is kind of all my opinion on the stock. So look at all the data, analyze the earnings call, look at everything. Take it, and look at it from your own standpoint of if you believe in a company like SoFi, if you like what they're doing, and obviously make your own call. So if you like the stock, then, purchase some of the stock. If you don't, then probably one to avoid. But in my opinion, I'm long the stock and I plan on, holding for at least the next year or two to see kind of what happens. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below. And if you want to see more videos like this one, make sure you hit that sub button. And as always, have a wonderful rest of your day.